everybody, Hayley here. I hope you're all okay. So for today's video I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be making my interactive memory album. It's a graduation gift for my son and I made this as part of my DT project for Made to Surprise. I will leave a link in the description box for the original launch for the Slide and Hide collection. You will be able to see all the samples that I made over there as well. So for this one, it's been highly requested and this is why I'm going to recreate it for you. It's very easy. I broke down all the steps and I really do hope you enjoy this one. It's beginner friendly and you can make this for any occasion using any collection that you wish. I will leave all the links in the description box below for any products that I'm going to be using. Let's get started. Unfortunately for today, I don't have the album here to show you because I sent it off. So I'm just going to remake it with you here today. We're going to start by constructing the actual album first, and again I've made this really easy. There's no spine and you have to slot the pages in, nothing like that. It's beginner friendly. So the first thing that we're going to do, you can decide on your color scheme and whatever you would like, but I'm going to use this lovely mint green cardstock and I've cut this one to 10¼ by 7 inches. I'm going to pop this in my scoreboard, and along that 10¼ inch side I'm going to score at 5 inches and 5¼ inches, and we want 4 of these pieces. So once you've got 4 of those, we're going to fold and burnish these score lines. They're both mountain folds. Going to score both of them. And this just creates something which is called, it's a gusset, and it just leaves that 1/4 inch gap to be able to hold your mechanism. So we're going to create 4 of those. Once you have these prepared, we are simply going to stick them back to back. So that is going to create the album and the pages for us. On the back, I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to glue all along this back side. And I'm going to attach this. I'm going to take the next piece and I'm going to attach it. Sure on is that you're getting this straight and even. And once you have it stuck down, you can pop some pressure on there. And I'm going to repeat that for the other two. I'm just going to stick them and stack them on top of each other. Okay, so this is the base of the album now complete. It's all, the spine is straight, they're all stuck together. And when we flip through, we have these pages. I'm going to work on the shaker element that I'm going to put on the front. I've already completed this. I've already done the shaker element, but I'm going to walk you through all the steps. And this is going to sit on the front like so. What I have done is I have taken a piece of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, one in the green and one in white. So you want 2 pieces of 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. You also want a piece of acetate that measures again 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and then you want this pattern layer that's going to sit on top, and that is going to measure 4½ by 6½. So for this one I've used white. I've glued my pattern piece to the white piece, and then I've used my number dies, which are the large modern numbers from Made to Surprise, and I've also used the chunky alphabet die set. I popped my numbers and run that through the die cutting machine. That's given me the cutout piece of the 2026. I popped some acetate onto the back, foam tape, and my shaker elements, and these are the shaker elements that I've used. These are some shaker sequins and some shaker beads, and it gives it that really nice like shaker sound. So I've used those inside this, and then I've popped this green piece then behind to seal it all together. I've used the chunky alphabet to cut out the word grad. So this is going to be my front album cover, but we're going to pop this now to one side because we're going to work on the rest of the decoration first. The next thing that I'm going to do is I've created this spine that I'm going to wrap around the album like so, so it gives it that book album type feel. So I've cut myself a piece of 3 inches by 7 inch cardstock, and if we pop this in the scoreboard, I have scored it then at 1/2 inch and 2.5 inches. So between those two score lines then we're going to score at every 1/8 of an inch all the way along until we get to the 2.5 score line. Once you have that done, we're going to fold and burnish the 2 end score lines. And with a bone folder or something, we're just going to put some shape into this now. We're just going to curve it around and give it, you know, a gentle encouragement to get that to curve over. Okay, this is what we should be looking like. And again, I'm going to pop this safely now. With the shaker element, we're going to come back to this. Okay, so the next step is going to be, I'm going to create all my different sliding mechanisms. And this comes from the set 5x7 double slider mechanism. Now this is from the brand new release, the Slide and Hide collection, and this is what I've done to create these mechanisms. I'm going to create one with you, and we're going to create 3 different mechanisms. From this set, to create the mechanism, you want the main mechanism itself, which is this piece here. You also want the largest square and the nested square, which is this one and this one. For the piece at the bottom that's going to pop out, we're going to use middle rectangle here, and then I've just popped my sentiment on there, it's your day. So for these ones then, this is how I have decorated. I've taken some stamp sets and I've already created these ones, and I'm going to bring the stamp sets in just so you can see exactly what I've used to create this one. The first one then, I have used Made to Surprise Mainly Manly A5 stamp set, sorry, and I've just used the sun sentiment from that. The next one is the Sentiment stamp and die set, and I've used the Cheers, which is here, and then I've used a couple of the sentiments from the Sentiment A5 stamp and die set. I've used It's Time to Celebrate, I've used Lots of Love, It's Your Day, and Congratulations on that stamp set. I've also used a couple of the elements, and this is from Hobbies Galore, and I've just used the beer bottle and the pint glass there, and then I've just coloured these images in and I've made the mechanism. So I have 2 so far, and I'm going to create the 3rd one with you. So we'll just pop these ones to one side, and I'll bring the things that we need for the mechanism back in. So with the main mechanism here, you want to get yourself a piece of plastic, and I have used a cello bag for this, and this measures 3 7/8 by roughly about 6 inches, and I've popped a piece of tape along the top, and this is an 1/8 inch strip of tape. So what we're going to do is we're going to, where this tape is, you're going to flip it over so the tape is facing the table. I'm just going to find my pokey tool. Then we're going to bring the mechanism in and pop that over the top, and it should fit with a little bit of a gap, just a small amount of gap. We're going to fold this piece over and remove the tape. We're going to fold this piece up, and you don't want this too tight. You want this to be able to move freely. So just wrap it, but keep it fairly loose. And then with the excess, we're just going to cut that away. So I'll just take my scissors. We can just remove that excess there so it's nice and flush now. And this is moving freely. That's exactly what you want. You want to push this tape right up to this top edge here. And I'm going to bring my tape in again. I'm going to pop some tape along that top edge. And you only want this tape to stay on this piece of plastic. You don't want it to get on the mechanism, only want it on that plastic. So we're going to remove the backing paper from there, and I'm going to take the two rectangles where I've stamped It's Your Day, and we're going to pop this now on the front of here. We're going to centre it in between these two bars and right up to this top panel. So I'm just going to pop that on there and make sure I've got it centered and even. Then we're going to flip this mechanism over. I'm going to apply some more tape now. So this one is at the top on the front, and when we flip it over, we want another piece of tape on the back at the very bottom. And again, you don't want this anywhere else except for on this piece of plastic. Then I'm going to bring this piece back in where I've stamped Lots of Love. I'm going to remove the backing paper on the tape at the bottom. Now, this is the back side. So what we want to do with this is we want to flip it over, and we are going to attach it again in between these two bars, but now right down at this bottom edge. Then that is going to create your sliding mechanism. I have just attached tab and the arrow, which comes in the set for this as well. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some foam tape. So I've got a 1/8 inch foam tape here, and I'm going to add it to each of these bars on the front and the back. So I'm going to put a piece on that side, a piece on this side, and then I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to pop it on both sides. So once you've got your foam tape on either side, on the front and the back, this is what you will have, and you want to create 3 of those. These are the 3 that I have created. Now, from the set, you also want to cut yourself this largest rectangle, and that is going to, when we stuck this onto the page, that is going to cover this sentiment piece here that pulls out. So that's going to be completely concealed, and this is going to reveal a secret message. So again, you want to cut 3 of those. Now I've cut 3 in the green, and I've also cut a matte and layer, and I've used my stamp set that comes with the collection, and I've used this graduation cap here, and I've just created my own pattern paper really. I've just stamped lots of the caps there and coloured that in, and I've created 3 pieces to go over the top. Okay, so once you've got all the mechanisms created, put them to one side, and we're going to work on all the mats and layers and the pockets for inside the album. So for inside the album, I have created myself 5 pockets. 4 pockets are going to be exactly the same size, and then 1 pocket is just slightly larger. For the 4 pockets, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 5 3/4 by 3.5 inches, and you want 4 of those. And if I bring my scoreboard back in, I can go through the scoring with you. So if you pop it in the scoreboard, 5 3/4 inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 5 1/4 inches, and then we're going to rotate and we're going to score 3 inches. And you want to repeat that on 4 pieces. Once you have those 4 pieces, we want to remove these bottom 2 squares here, and we just want to taper the edges in so it doesn't catch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to taper the edge in there and at this side here, and you also just want to take a small amount off the top there so it leaves this tab along the side. We're going to repeat this again on the other side. We're going to remove that square and just taking a knot out each time, and then we're just going to remove a small amount on that top there. So this is what the pocket should look like, and we will have 4 of those pockets. So you just want to hold and burnish along those score lines. so we have 4 pockets. I'm also going to create a larger pocket in exactly the same way. For this one, we are going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 5 3/4 by 4.5 inches. And it's exactly the same method. We're going to bring the scoreboard in, and along that 5 3/4 inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5 1/4. Rotate this piece, and we're going to score at 4 inches. Then we want to again remove these 2 boxes, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing as we did before. I'm just going to take a little notch out of each side and remove that square. I'm going to take a little piece from the top of each of those as well, and we're going to remove that bottom square. We want to fold and burnish these down. So it's exactly the same, it's just a larger size pocket. What I'm doing is I'm just going through all the different elements, and the next I'm going to go through all the mats and layers. So then you've got all your bits and pieces ready and everything is constructed, and it will simply be down to decoration, and I'll go through all the mats and layers to decorate this. For these pockets, we can start on the mats and layers now. And if you bring, I have 4 pieces of white cardstock that measure 4.5 inches by 2 3/4 inches, and you want 4 pieces of the white. Then I've cut 4 pieces of the pattern paper, and these measure 4 1/4 inches by 2.5 inches, and again you want 4 of those, and they're going to nest together, and they're going to sit on that front pocket. So once we get all that glued down, that's what we should look like. I've just got one more mat and layer for the larger pocket that we created. For this one, you just want one piece, which is 4.5 by 3 3/4 for the white, and then you want a piece of the patterned, which is 4 1/4 by 3.5, and again those are going to nest together, and that is going to sit on top of the larger pocket that we created. So I'm going to get all those stuck down now, and then we'll come back. So once we have all those stuck together, this is what we should have. Each of these pockets has a mat and layer on the front, and so does this larger one. And just so you know as well, the pattern paper that I've used for this is the Celebrations 8x8 paper pack, and this is from the new collection Slide and Hide, available over on Craft World from Made to Surprise. Everything is still available, and I will leave a link in the description box below if you are wanting to head on over and do a little bit of shopping and grab this collection or parts of it for yourself. All those pockets ready to go. Next, I've done some cutting of all my mats and layers, and I think just to make it easier, what I will do is I will go through all of the measurements for the mats and layers, and then we will go through page by page how I put everything together. Page 1, for every single page we want a piece of white cardstock that measures 6 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches, and we want 8 pieces of the white. Then we will want 4 pieces of the pattern paper, and this measures 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and those two are going to mat together. We want 8 of the white, and we want 4 of the pattern. Then we will want 4 pieces of pattern paper that measures 4.5 by 4.5 inches. This is the part where we're going to pop that at the top, and then the pocket is just going to sit below. We want 4 of that size pattern paper. The other thing that we've done in exactly the same size, I have taken the Celebrate poem from the collection, and I've stamped out the poem, and this piece measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and I've also taken a green piece that measures 4.5 by 4.5, and I'm going to map those two together, and that is going to go on my front inside page. The last pieces that we're going to need are a piece of the green paper that measures 4.5 by 3.5 inches, and a piece of the pattern paper that's going to go over the top, and that measures 4.5 by 3 inches, and you just want one of each of those. And the very last piece is a piece of the same green cardstock, and this is going to go on the back cover. This is going to be the back panel, and this measures 6 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So once you have everything cut, I'm going to walk you through now page by page how I've attached everything and put everything together. At this stage now, we want to bring the album back in, and we're going to open the front page. We're going to leave this page for now because that's where we're going to put a shaker element. So we're going to open this front page, and we're going to work. This is going to be page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, and then the back cover. So we're going to start on page 1. Now we're going to take the green piece, which measures 4.5 by 4.5, and the celebrate sentiment, and we're going to glue those two together. We're also going to take one of the white panels that measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and this is going to glue onto the front of this first page here. So I'm going to grab my glue, and I'm using the Collal all-purpose construction glue for this album because I want it to be very sturdy, but you can use whatever glue or tape is your preference. So I'm going to stick that white panel onto the front. I'm going to glue these two together, and then we're going to pop this on the front top page 1. So I've got a nice even border around the left, the top and the right, and that's got our poem in there. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring one of the 4 pockets that we created back in, and this is where we're going to pop the first pocket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some glue, and along all 3 of these tabs we're going to pop some glue. And at this point now I've switched my glue to this is the Belly Arts glue. It's a quick grab glue, so which again you could use tape, use whatever it is that you prefer. We're going to just fold these all inwards. All these tabs need to be folded inwards, and that is going to fit perfectly. We're going to line it up at the bottom of this white panel, and I'm just going to bring my bone folder in so I can apply some pressure on there and let those tabs stick down. And now we've created this pocket. Then we're going to move on to page 2, and for this again the white piece of card that measures 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to add some glue to this, pop this on the page 2 of the album, and I've got a piece of the pattern paper that measures 6.5 by 4.5 inches. I'm going to pop this on top of the white layer like that. And then this page now is where we're going to put our mechanism, and this is why we have this 1/4 inch gusset here. That's to give us some room for this foam tape here. So we're going to open the mechanism because you don't want this to come out of the bottom part here. You don't want to hang over the edge. So I'm going to open my mechanism, remove the release paper from the back, make sure I get this centered on the left and the right, and I've not overhung here at the bottom. Put some pressure on there. We can close this now, and then the next step we're going to remove the release paper, and we're going to bring in that larger rectangle that we created with graduation hats there, and I'm going to pop this, making sure I'm centering it at the left and the right, over that mechanism onto that foam tape, and that conceals that message underneath. So now when you pull this tab, the sentiment pops out at the bottom. Cheers. So that's page 1 and 2, and it's literally just a case now of repeating that. Okay, once I get to page 8 here, this is where I'm going to put the larger pocket. So this is just slightly different because this one doesn't have a mechanism. So I'm going to take the green piece, which measures 4.5 by 3.5 inches, and I'm going to pop some glue on here, and I'm going to stick this to the top. Then I've got a piece of the pattern paper that measures 4.25 by 3 inches. Pop some glue on here and stick this on the front. Then I'm going to take the larger pocket, exactly the same as before with the other pockets. We're going to run some glue along all 3 of those tabs. Fold those tabs in and line it up with the bottom of that white piece, and just pop some pressure on there and let that stick. So I'm going to give you a quick flip through of the album. So this is page 1 and 2. This pops out. Page 3 and 4. And the congratulations pops out at the bottom. Page 5 and 6. It's your day. And then page 7 and 8. Now, what I have got is I've created some tags. These tags are from, I think it was a Hunky Dory tag pad or something like that. But you can create your own tags at home. I'll just give you an overall measurement. These measure about 3.25 by about 5 inches. And these tags are all just going to sit in these pockets to create the tag. So like I say, this is a pre-made tag, but you can create a tag however you like. I've also got a piece of green cardstock, and this measures, no it doesn't, that's not correct. This measures 3.75 inches by 3 inches, and I'm going to glue this to the front. I've then got a piece of white cardstock that measures 2.75 inches by 3.5 inches, and I've embossed this panel with one of my embossing folders. I'm going to pop some glue on the back of here and stick this one onto the green. Just let that glue grab. And then I've got some decoration. I think I'm going to the present. You don't want too much bulk. I've stuck all of these flat because I don't want too much bulk. We've only got that 1/4 of an inch gusset to be able to work with on the front there too. So my thoughts behind the tags. Oh, sorry. I've also got some ribbon, and I'm just going to thread the ribbon through. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut off the ends like so. My hands are full of glue. Everything's sticking to me. Okay. Right, so my thoughts behind the tag were I could pop a sentiment on here if I wanted, but I'm going to journal something on the back of each of these tags when I go to give it to Archie, my son. And you can put multiple tags in here. You could put a note. You can use whatever it is that you want in these, and you can decorate and embellish this further. That's totally up to you, how you want to finish it off. Okay, so I want to be able to tie this album now, so I'm going to bring in some ribbon here, and that's going to be my closure for the album. So I'm going to take a piece of red liner tape, going to pop the tape, and I'm terrible. I'm not measuring this. I'm just going by eye. It doesn't have to be perfect, but roughly in the middle, wherever you want your ribbon to go. And I'm going to attach that ribbon to that tape there. I'm just going to pop a little piece over the top as well. So then when I stick that front cover down, it's got something to stick to over that ribbon, and it secures it in place as well. And I'm going to do the same at the back. So I've turned the album over, and I am going to try and sort of marry this up now, roughly, so the ribbon is about in the same spot. Remove the backing, add the ribbon to that tape, and then pop some tape again over the top of there. Right, so that is going to be our closure, and we'll tie this in a bow and then remove the excess, whatever you don't need. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do, we created this spine, so I'm going to pop the spine on first. So I'm going to run my glue. I'm going to do it one side at a time, I think. I'm going to run my glue along this 1/2 inch tab, and I'm going to line this up. So edge of this 1/2 inch strip meets the edge of the book there. I'm going to let that set. Then I'm going to run some more glue along this tab here and connect it to the back. So again, this edge here where we've scored wants to line up with the edge of the book, and this is going to curve out. It just takes a little patience to make sure that grabs. So we now have this lovely curved spine. So I think we'll do the back piece first. I'm going to remove the tape, the release paper from the tape, and this final green piece that we cut, which is the back panel, the 3 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. We can now pop this on the back, and that conceals ribbon. But we need to put some glue on first. Oh dear. There we go, we can get underneath there, that's fine. Okay, so that's all nice and concealed now. And then for the front, we're going to bring back in our shaker element, and we can remove the release paper from that there. We're going to put some glue on this one all along the back like so, and then we can stick this one to the front. Okay, and then we can tie the ribbon into a bow. I'm just doing this roughly. Obviously you at home can make this however you like. You can have a different closure if you feel confident being able to do that. This album is completely adaptable to whatever you want to create. You can change this up. This is very basic, very simple, and I've kept it that way because I wanted it to be beginner friendly. But if you feel confident enough, you can change this however you would like. And when we open, we have this beautiful Celebrate poem, and if we pull the tab, we have the slide and hide mechanism. We have this beautiful tag in the pocket, but you can change this. You can have whatever you want in these pockets. And then we have the other slide and hide mechanism, another pocket and tag, another mechanism, and then the last page we have 2 pockets with the 2 different tags. Now, if you are wanting to heavily embellish this, you want to add things to the front, you want to add any foam tape or anything like that, what I would suggest is you make your gusset larger to accommodate that. This already is, it's quite full. There's quite a lot of foam tape there. So I wouldn't want to add any foam tape to any of these pieces here because it's just going to bulk it out too much. But again, if you feel confident, you've made albums or memory books before, then you can adapt this to whatever you need it to be. Change your colours, change your theme. For example, in the set there's lots of wedding papers and there's lots of stamps and dies, so you could create this for a wedding, for maybe a bridesmaid at a wedding. You could do it for special birthdays, you could do it for an anniversary, for Christmas. There's lots of occasions and lots of different ways to change this if you would like. So yeah, so that's the album. Like I say, a little bit of a different tutorial from me today, but I do hope you enjoyed this one. And if you give this one a go, I would love to be able to see it. Thank you for watching. I really do encourage you to like, comment, share this video and subscribe if you've enjoyed watching today. And if you want to see more, I do have a Facebook group, which is Hayley's Cards Creative Corner. I will leave a link in the description box, and it's a new group and there's lots of people over there already, and they're sharing all the makes from the tutorials that I've been creating. It's a lovely little group and I would love to see some variations of this album over in the group. That would be fantastic. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you do get notified whenever I upload a video. And yeah, I think that's it for today. So that's a lovely little project to be working on, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you again next time in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bye bye.